Hello, listeners. Today's episode I'm going to reserve specifically just for Queen Victoria because, as it so happens, today, January 22nd, 2024, is the anniversary of her death. I didn't know until I was researching that just kind of happened all on its own. And I don't know about you, but I don't believe in coincidences. So I kind of felt like this would be a pretty nice way to honor her and just give her her own episode here at For the Love of History in my Haunted History Windsor Castle series. So I'm just going to dedicate this one just to her. And then as I continue on with this series, you'll get 2 to 3 figures that I talk about here on out. But I just wanted to honor her and give her her own episode. So with that being said, let's get started. So, Alexandrina Victoria was born May 24th, 1819 at Kensington Palace, London, to her parents Edward Augustus, Duke of Kent, and Victoria of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. And her father passed away when she was only 8 months old. Her uncles had died without heirs, and so she was the next in line to the throne after her uncle King William IV passed. She grew up in Kensington Palace and lived a very sheltered life with her mother and half-sister Feodora, who was 12 years her senior, as well as with her governess Louise Lazen. At the age of 18, she became queen after her uncle had died on June 20th, 1837. She reigned from 1837 to 1901 and was known to be the longest reigning monarch in British history. However, the late Queen Elizabeth II has now taken that title, reigning for 70 years. Queen Victoria married Albert of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha on February 10th, 1840. And she was absolutely smitten and in love with Prince Albert. She wrote in her diary after had meeting her cousin, actually, Prince Albert, that, quote, Albert really is quite charming and so excessively handsome, such beautiful blue eyes, an exquisite nose, and such a pretty mouth with a delicate mustache, and slight but very slight whiskers, a beautiful figure, broad in the shoulders, and a fine waist. Within only a few days, Victoria had proposed to Prince Albert, and the rest was history. Victoria had 9 children with Albert, not because she enjoyed children. What I come to find out was that she didn't really enjoy children. Instead, it was all out of duty. They were known to have been very sexually active and deep in love. One could argue that she loved her husband more than her own children. I kind of feel that Victoria saw pregnancy and giving birth, and even the idea of conceiving for the purpose of providing heirs as degrading. She writes to her eldest daughter about motherhood, quote, what you say of the pride of giving life to an immortal soul is very fine, dear, but I own I cannot enter into that. I think much more of our being like a cow or a dog at such moments, when our poor nature becomes so very animal and unecstatic. So she wasn't a very nurturing mother, but she definitely was a nurturing and loving wife. And you can take that information as you will. She was a very firm and strict mother and queen, which I think is what made her such a very strong queen. Now, when Prince Albert passed away on December 14th, 1861, she retreated to Windsor Castle, where she was given the name the Widow of Windsor by her subjects. And there she mourned her husband's death. And maybe that's a reason why, after she passed in 1901 on January 22nd, that she decided to stay at Windsor. Windsor was a place of happy memories, like on Christmas, when Victoria would gather all of her family. Now, it was said that her Scottish servant, John Brown, who historians suspect Victoria grew very intimately close to after Albert's death, introduced to Victoria the idea of conducting seances. And these seances were said to have taken place in the Blue Room at Windsor. She was so heartbroken after Albert's death that she laid out his clothes in his room at Windsor, feeling as though it would help bring forth Albert's spirit. And she would conduct these seances many times with Mr. Brown. There was also a family tree planted there on the grounds of Windsor Castle by Victoria and Albert. And many years later, after her death, her grandson, Edward VIII, and his wife were thinking about removing the tree. But as the yardmen were about to remove the tree from the grounds, it was said that Victoria's ghost appeared angry and yelling and as if challenging the yardmen. And those men ran away in fear. And ever since then, the family tree has stayed on the grounds of Windsor Castle. Well, listeners, I hope that you enjoyed this quick episode. Don't forget to royally hit that subscribe button, like, and share my podcast. I do have a goal that I want to reach by the end of February. I want to be able to hit 1,000 subscribers. So I would very much appreciate it if you can help me in achieving that goal by subscribing, sharing, commenting my episode and my podcast. I would be very grateful. So until next time, as always, keep loving history and stay curious. Bye.